Hi everyone, and welcome to day 27, 27 minutes of mindfulness. I don't know, I'm going to say it every day this week. I'm just really excited that we're at this point. We've put in increasing levels of time. We keep showing up at the same time every day. And we've kind of worked through that tough spot of like at the point where we're like, what's happening? And now it almost just feels like we're settling into a nice routine. I don't know. So each day I get a little bit more and more excited about that. So I'm so glad that you guys are here with me and that I get to be here with you today. Go ahead, find yourself in a comfortable position that you can sustain for 25 or 26 more minutes. That can be, hold on, as we sometimes do in the mornings, we are off schedule, so someone is looking for the rest of their breakfast. Go ahead and find a place that you feel you can really settle into, whether you change it up from what you normally do. If you want to sit in a chair, now you'd like to lie down. If you'd like to try finding a comfortable seat, or if you want to try and get yourself all cozy in a reclined position, go ahead and take your time getting there. What we began speaking about yesterday was this idea of gratitude. Not just, well, yesterday we were very broad about it. I asked you just to think about what the word, the concept, the term gratitude meant to you individually, and to just let that play into the mind, let it come to the conscious, and to then notice the sensations, feelings, emotions that arise when you hear and you start to acknowledge gratitude. Today, what I'd like to do is to continue building on this concept of gratitude, but gratitude for things on the outside. So perhaps we even stick with non-sort of human things that we're grateful for. So a tad bit more specific than yesterday, but not specific enough that I'm asking you to think about any one thing in particular. So what may come to your mind, what may get conjured up when I say things outside of you, but not specific to like the human species, we can start to think a little bit more globally about things that we're grateful for. If you've already been up and out and about today, you may be grateful for public transportation that runs on time. You might be grateful for when you walked outside, if the crosswalk was lit for you to walk across it immediately and you didn't have to pause or stop your progression. Maybe you're grateful for that. If you don't live in a city setting, you may feel grateful for the sounds, the sights, the smells. Even if you live in a city, you might be grateful for that. But the things that you sort of greeted you as you left your home, you very well could just pop in your head and be like, I'm really grateful for my home, that I live in this abode with safety over my head in an area that I like. So just start to be grateful for things that are outside of you, but not human. Stay there. And of course, as things come in to distract you, acknowledge that they're there and then just gently ask them to come back in 24 minutes. So as you're thinking through these things outside of you that make you feel grateful, go again. Just begin to notice how your body is feeling. You may have this need or desire to shift things around. And for our movement today, I thought maybe what we do is we'll just do those circles again that we've sometimes done with our body. And the reason why is because especially there's some days, if you're at the beginning of your week and or at any point of your week, but if you've kicked off like a workout routine after a couple of days off, or if you found yourself sitting more than you normally would, my back always just feels like it needs a little bit of TLC. So why don't we just start in any position that feels good to you, just making circles with the torso. So I'm starting with my lower body, so my low back and my abdomens and my obliques are starting to get that engagement, the invitation to kind of release any tension. This also pertains to the low hip area. So you could find yourself tilting your pelvic bowl forward and back. You may also want to move your knees, your feet, your legs, but go ahead and just begin to waken up and liven that low body. Just noticing the feelings where you're feeling a little bit congested or stuck, and maybe you could hang out in that spot for a second and just sort of feel what it feels to sit in any of that tightness and to just breathe before moving on to the next point. And then we'll do some shoulder rolls today. So you can move both shoulders up towards the ears and back. You could do one shoulder at a time if you'd like. And the nice thing about movements like this is it's effective without being grandiose, which means if you're sitting in your car or at your desk on public transportation, even if you're walking down the street, this doesn't look so large that someone's like, oh, that's strange. What's that person doing over there? At some point during the day, everyone, without even having to be aware or obvious about it, they'll roll their shoulders just because the tension that builds in that upper respiratory area. And then let's look over to the right shoulder, just feeling the lengthening of the neck on the left side. And then we'll come back to center. And then we'll look over towards the left. And then come back to center. Let's bring the left hand across our body. Right hand can catch about the left upper arm. And just gently invite that left arm across the body, relaxing that left shoulder down. And just feeling any sensations that are arising. This may also request or invite more movement in the torso. So just be mindful, be in the moment of what this feels like in your body. And then we'll switch over to the other side. So we're just gonna bring that right arm across the body and just let that left hand rest on the upper arm on that right side. You can relax that right hand. No need to have additional stress or strain here. Relax down that right shoulder. And then just notice what's happening along the back body, the chest, maybe the torso in total. And then we'll just come back to center and do a couple more of those shoulder rolls, just releasing any tension, moving in any direction that feels good here. And then when you're ready, we're going to let the hands rest palms up today. And so if you're lying down, it can be palms up with the hands at the side of the body. If you're in a seated position, palms up and let it rest at the area right above the knees, low thigh area, or wherever feels comfortable. And you'll be able to change your hand position in a little bit. But for right now, we're just feeling the openness, the expansiveness in the hands. And this may already be bringing up some sensations, which could be interesting. So just noticing if you feel any sensations or tingling in the fingers. We're going to try not to strain the hand. So when I say strain, I mean like really flex those fingers out. We're looking for something relaxed, so something between closed fist, which is a gentle closed fist like this, and something really, really expansive with the fingers reaching out. And we're going to work with that movement of the hands and the breath. But before we get there, just begin to, from this position, just notice how your breath is joining you today. And of course, because every moment that we check in is different, you may already begin to notice some differences from the last time that you chose to observe your breath. Depending on what's happened up to this point, your breath may be faster or slower, shallower or a little bit longer. And we're just watching the breath as it moves in and out. If you feel that you've begun to unconsciously manipulate how the breath is working, maybe see if you could just let it go and just be here with the breath as it is. What's interesting about this is that we spend so much time talking about how we're trying to detach from the thoughts of the mind and not get caught up in what the mind is trying to do or the distractions that it's bringing to our forefront. But in arriving in the breath, the mind is maybe an unknown friend in this situation, we could say. In that, because when we first bring the mind to the breath, we tend to want to manipulate or change it, but then we know the mind is like a puppy, and a hot second later, it's running off chasing something. And when it does that, it's that moment where we get to sneak in awareness and just kind of peek into the breath again and be like, well, the mind is running in circles. What's going on here? And it helps us to inform ourselves of sort of what are we working with today. So once you have a clearer indication of how the breath is moving and how it's arriving with you to this time today, we're going to work with the breath and the hands together. And I believe we've done this together before, where when we inhale, we're just going to gently curl the fingers in towards the palms of the hands. Just nice and gentle, curl in. And with the exhale, we're going to just gently unfurl the hands, let those fingertips reach out. And we're working to link the length of the inhale, the length of the exhale, with the movements of the hands. So for people who are beginning this exercise, not just with the hands, although the hands are like one of the easiest ways to do this exercise, the idea of linking breath and movement tends to be very pointed, where it's like, I'm inhaling, close the hands. I'm exhaling, open the hands. But really what I'm asking when I ask you to link breath and movement is to take the full experience. So as you're inhaling, you know that the breath is going to take longer than a second. So take longer than a second to close your hand. When your full breath is in and it feels like you can no longer breathe in, that's when your fingertips will have reached the palms. And the exhale, again, same thing, isn't a point in time, but an action, a continuous action that goes on until the breath has left the body. At that point, the fingertips are completely out. So why don't we continue on inhaling and exhaling using the breath and the movement of the hands, and begin to soften the gaze or close the eyes entirely. And begin to notice what's happening as we take the eyes and take them offline. Take that sense of sight offline. Begin to observe and accept, welcome in the sounds around you. Begin to notice if you're detecting any smells or scents in the room coming in with the breath. Begin to notice if you detect any sense of taste, real or memorized. And then as we move on to touch, feel the hands resting, backs of the hands resting on the floor or on your lap. When you inhale in, maybe you notice at the top of your inhale where there's this natural pause before the exhale starts. You may notice the fingertips touching just ever so lightly the palms of the hands. And if they don't, that's okay. We can feel touch in other ways, including any parts of our body that are resting on the floor below us. Just beginning to encourage that gentle rhythm of the inhale and the exhale, creating that meditative ebb and flow for us. And you're free to continue moving the hands with the breath if it's serving that relaxation, that mindfulness process within you. But if at any point you're ready to let the movement go, feel free to find stillness with the hands. They can come to rest palms down if you'd like on the body for additional grounding and support. Or you can let the first finger and the thumbs touch on each hand, the last three fingers extending, creating this energetic loop. So there's no rush to get to anywhere. We're just continuing to work with that breath as it moves in and out. And at this point, we'll bring our awareness, our thoughts back to the question I asked you at the beginning of our time here today. What outside of you, a non-human example or thoughts, what are you grateful for? And take your time, we have it. Just go back through, if you need help, your day or days, noticing what has brought you gratitude. And if the examples are already coming in quickly, if you have them, begin to bring your attention to, when you think of this example of gratitude, how does it feel inside of your body? Where inside of your body do you feel it? Does it come to you in the form of a sensation? Perhaps an emotion? And as we spoke about yesterday, there are no true big examples of gratitude that outshine anything else. So if you're struggling to think of something to be grateful for outside of yourself, maybe notice if you're holding on to this idea that it has to be something bigger than what it really is. And can you invite in this sort of loving awareness to allow yourself to get to a point where we recognize that what we're grateful for is simply that. We're just grateful for it. It doesn't have to fit any other criteria. It doesn't have to be the biggest, flashiest example. What's interesting about these times of gratitude and this gratitude type practice focused on things about gratitude is it helps us come to the present moment to notice that there's so many things that come into our life that we may rush past throughout the course of the day as we work to achieve the items on our to-do list, that we may miss those little moments that bring us joy, that bring us gratitude. So a bird chirping on your walk may not be something you notice, but maybe today you did. And if you didn't, maybe now when you leave the house, you will. And the sound of a beautiful bird participating in the waking of the day may feel like expansiveness or maybe freedom within your body. Because at that moment, there's nothing else to worry about. You're just enjoying the beautiful tune. Or if you found that you're rushing around, and now that you find this moment of opportunity to practice what you're grateful for, noticing how a few things seemingly to click into place creates this feeling of ease, of spaciousness within you that allows you to say, you know, at this moment, I don't have to rush around. Everything seems to be working, and therefore I'm grateful for that. just take these last few moments to bring that awareness of things outside of yourself that you're grateful for. There is no limit. There is no ceiling or floor on how many things you can think about. The only instruction is that as you think about these things that bring you gratitude, that you then feel that gratitude and you let that become conscious, so that as you proceed throughout your day, as you need moments, as you find challenges arising, that you can call back to these feelings and sensations. And by doing that, helping your body shift from a potential stressful situation to a potential restful situation. It's all how you choose to proceed. And let's slowly begin to bring movement back into the body by increasing the breath a little bit deeper. Exhaling completely. Wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe rubbing the thumbs over each of the tips of the fingers and noticing those sensations. And then when you're ready, slowly begin to blink open the eyes, focusing on just one point before we allow the full breadth of the view in front of us to come back into the consciousness. And for things outside of me, I'm grateful for you being here with me today. Day 27, 27 minutes of mindfulness in the books. We are going to gear up for day 28, 28 minutes of mindfulness tomorrow. I hope you can join me again. Have a great day, and I will see you all soon.